have to talk over the heater going. We never did get that snow yesterday. They said 5 to 6 inches of snow, and I was pretty jazzed about it. It never came, you know? It's just another one. I always thought that the weather people were infallible. They, you know, they could predict weather like 20, 30, 40 years out, right? Yeah, they predicted last night it was gonna have 5 or 6 inches of snow. Nothing. Okay. I'm not complaining. Well, I am a little bit complaining because I was kind of a little bit looking forward to that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're continuing with our end table build to match the theme of our now metal living room. It's metal. You know, I like AC/DC and Metallica and all that stuff. It's true, I have to confess. Anyway, this is part 2, and you're watching the North Country channel that is, you know, gardening, welding, camping, fishing, homesteading, prepping, you know, that kind of stuff. You'll never know what you're gonna get. So what I'm doing now is I'm building the inner frame of the end table. And this is what I cut up. I think it's just some 1x1s. Yeah, 1x1 square tubing. Of course, varying thicknesses as usual because we're working with what we got. And what I did was I measured out, from the last video, I measured out the inside dimensions of the base. And this is going to be the upper frame that's going to be connected to the legs. You'll see, it'll be badass. I just need to get this welded together and get it cleaned up. Or, yeah, get it cleaned up then welded together. Well, you get it. We just did a little grinding around the edges. When you first pick up this scrap metal, you know, I said they cut it with a bandsaw in the last video. I don't think they did. It looks like it was chopped somehow because you can tell it's not a clean cut in that scrap metal. So I don't know what kind of machine they got, but they got something that... What they do is they cut off the pieces that they're going to use, and they clean those up, and then the pieces they discard or they're going to discard are kind of sharp, and they got jagged edges sticking out all over the place, like around the edges and stuff like that. So if you was to set this on your workpiece, it would be very unnoticeable a lot of times, and be just the slightest bit tippy or offset or crooked or however you want to call it, unlevel or whatever. And a lot of times you don't discover that until it's too late. So you really should take the time to kind of clean up, because the slightest little divot along the edge here could mean the difference between a good-looking product and a better-looking product. That's what we amateurs call it, okay? They're good, better, and perfect, okay? So I made my rounds on that. Couldn't figure out why. A lot of times they look like they're cut really clean and really perfect, but you know, you have to really give it a close inspection, and then you can kind of see it's just got those little shards, just those one little shards that that'll kind of trick you up. So I'm going to clean up this metal and weld it up. Now we have to weld up everything on these, both sides, the outside corners, everything but the inside corner. And we don't want to weld up the inside corner because we need that flat and flush to go against the top of the workpiece. You'll see. So when you hear me talking about how to do all this stuff, you know, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. Don't listen to me. I'm not a professional. I'm an amateur, okay? I'm talking about how I do it. There are a zillion professional welding channels out there, a lot of them. And without a doubt, 90% of them know more than I do. But you know what? We're hobbyists, and we do this because we enjoy working with our hands and making something out of nothing. It's fun. It really is fun. I mean, a lot of people sit around, you know, over the winter time. They have puzzles. They put out a card table or something like that, and they just sit around and put together puzzles. You know, they put the puzzle together because it keeps their brain working, keeps them thinking. It gives them something to do, you know, putting a puzzle together. This is kind of the same thing, only there's a return in it. There's something tangible when you're finished, I think. We'll get it tacked up. I don't think we need the ventilator for just tacking. Got to find a non-warped part of my table here. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Now I said I measured the inside of this base here. That's what I mean by I measured the inside of the base. Just like that. And that looks good. Okay. You'll see why I'm doing that as we progress. I'll tack down the other side. There it is. Okay, now, what's this going for? Let me show you. Here's our base. And if I measured correctly, this should go perfect right on the inside of it, like that. See that? There can be a little wiggle room, but there shouldn't be any, if you can help it. See that? Okay, let me show you why it's got to be like that. Get all this crap out of the way. Here's our base, and underneath the base is going to be the casters. So we're just going to weld those right up underneath all four sides of those. Now, these are going to be placed in here like this. Let me show you. Of course, you know, this is just me making it up as I go along, right? Like I do every project. That's okay. You can do it any way you want, I guess, right? It's just the way I'm doing it. And we'll weld all of these in solid along the sides. And we got to be careful because they're going to be shell welds, right? So our first tier of our end table is going to go across here like that. And we're going to weld it to this, like this. See that? We'll weld our plate on the top of this, and then we'll go up one more tier after we get the first shelf on. Okay? Yeah, something like that. Let me get a magnet and I'll show you around. This is how it's going to go. See that? We just got the magnets on here. We want to make sure everything's level. See that? These are Master Force welding magnets from Menards. Yeah, I bought them when they were cheap. They're probably expensive now. Yeah, buddy. And that's how it's going to go. Put our first shelf on here, and then we're going to use some more of those and go up from there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie and just kind of mark where I want to take the mill scale off of these so that I can get some decent welds on them. Just going to grind that mill scale right off of these. I'll do them one at a time. I'm going to do all four of these. So I'll see you when I get them all four done. Can't leave this door open forever, it's cold out. You need lots of levels, lots of magnets. See that? Remember, we want it to be as perfect as we can, given the conditions that we're working in. That's my motto, right? That way, if you screw it up, you could say, hey, I did the best I could. Once you're satisfied with the way it's coming together, that's when you just tack it in. You just tack it because it's easy to break out the tacks if you forgot something or you screwed something up or something just doesn't look right. I'm happy with the mini Christmas tree here. It kind of looks like a Christmas tree. See, it's got all that crap on it. Yeah. See that? It only takes a second to do this. It doesn't take that long. Okay. I'm just going to tack it in 3 corners all the way around and then up underneath. That's the one thing about getting older, guys, is you're going to have some extra light. I went up to 15.5 volts. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now I'll weld it up. Then we'll put the first shelf on. I don't know if we'll get that far today. Let's at least get this done. Okay, we'll just start welding now. And then we'll flip it upside down and do the underneath here. Now when you're tacking anything down, keep it in mind, I'm an amateur now. So watch the professionals, but you gotta understand that when you're putting these tacks in, you have to actually see that metal melting on both sides, because there's been way more than once that I've started turning it and the tacks just fell off, just completely fell off. And you're like, hey, I put a tack there. Well, you didn't actually let it penetrate into the steel when you did it. Talking for myself. So I've learned to just keep that tack going until you see that melt in both pieces of steel that you're putting together. Does that make sense? I don't know. Most of you probably don't care, right? So we're going to go ring around the rosy, weld it up. Yeah, buddy. Try to make it as neat as we can. Hopefully the settings are conducive to that. Let's turn her over. I think we're going to have to turn this down for this one. When you're doing welding from thick gauge steel to thin gauge steel, I always start with the thick. I always put the torch on the thick first and let it kind of drip down to the thin. It seems to work a lot better that way. You get pretty decent welds. Okay, these are what I call our show welds. That means we're not going to grind them out, obviously. I guess we could, but we're not. They look fine. And we don't have to worry about the ones underneath because they're not going to show, even though they're awesome too. See that? So we got it welded up, and this is the base of our table. We didn't obviously cut any of these drops, so we'll put our shelf on the top here. And remember, the casters will be underneath. And then we'll make another tier on top of that. Yeah, buddy. Let's check it out. That's what you want. So far, so good. Now, in the next exciting video, we're going to cut the first shelf out of the only thing we have. We're going to cut that down to size. I don't know why. I'm just a stickler for things being just as level as I can get them. Even though it's not really that important. And then, once we have this part on, we're going to go up from there with some more of this stuff. We'll make a second tiered shelf like that. It'll be badass. I don't have any diamond plate, so I might have to go scrapping again and just hope I can find some, or maybe wait until I can find some, because I don't know. I think that would look pretty cool to have a diamond plate like the top of it, if I can find it. Anyway, that's the basics there. The first tier complete, except for the top shelf. So that's the end of part 2, guys. That's how we roll around here. If you haven't figured that out. I don't like to do everything all at once because you skip so much. People that do that, you know, I learn a lot from them, but they skip through so much stuff. I feel like I missed something. And they do a 30 or 20 to 30 minute video on a lot of welding channels, and they put together like a garage or like a whole workbench or whatever they're doing, and you really can't get anything out of it as far as knowledge goes except entertainment, which is valuable to me. So there's that. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one. God bless.